Hey guys, this is Tuttles from Eazylife, and today I'm gonna teach you how to butter bread. Thank you to Cole Crook for your question. So, when you're buttering bread, there's going to be three main factors you need to consider. Number one is bread and butter choice. Secondly, altitude. And last, application. Let's talk about bread and butter choice. You're going to want to choose AA salted butter. Now, the reason you're going to want AA butter is that AA stands for absolutely accurate. Now, this is important because when we get to the application, you're going to want to make sure you are absolutely accurate. Otherwise, you're gonna make a big mess. Secondly, you're going to want salted butter. Now, if you were baking, obviously you wouldn't want salted butter because getting salt in your treats can be fatal. However, when buttering bread, you're going to want that salt to ward off any bad spirits that may have been left in the bread during the bread making process. Now, this is especially important because of our bread choice. And when you're buttering bread, you're going to want to choose Dave's Killer Bread, which, as you guys probably know, is made by murderers. While murderers are not very good people, seeing as murder is a bad thing, on the other hand, for obvious reasons, murderers do make the best bread. But you're gonna want that salted butter to fight off any of the bad spirits or juju that got into the bread from the murderous hands of the murderers. Next, we're gonna want to consider altitude. So I live in the valley at about 90 feet elevation, which is actually the perfect altitude for buttering bread, due to the fact that butter producing beasts live in the valley. Now, you could butter bread at a higher altitude. You could try buttering bread in the mountains, and it's actually going to work, but you're going to find that you feel very lonely with the absence of those butter producing beasts. Now, you could try buttering your bread at sea level, but then you become subject to what is known as butter battering. While butter smells like nothing to us, it actually smells like betrayal to walrus. And betrayal in the walrus kingdom is a batterable offense. So if you're in a pinch, go ahead and butter your bread at that high altitude, but do not butter your bread at sea level unless you're up for being battered by walrus. The last thing you're going to need to consider is application, which involves prepping the butter, prepping the bread, and of course, buttering that bread. To do this, we're going to need to step into the laboratory. We're here in my laboratory. The first thing you're going to need to do is prep your butter. Prepping the butter is simple. You're simply going to give it 7 sweet strokes. As you can see, I'm stroking the butter 7 times, and I'm stroking it sweetly. And obviously, we're doing this just to soften the butter. You're not going to want a cold, hard butter in your bokeh. You are going to want a soft, warm, sweetened butter in your bokeh. Next, you're going to want to prep the bread. And while we got the salted butter to ensure that we can ward off any of the bad vibes that the murderous hands may have put into the butter, we still need to make sure the bread isn't hiding anything. You're simply going to want to shake it 3 times on the left and then 3 times on the right. And the last step, of course, is going to be buttering that bread. Now, this is obviously the most important step, and I can't stress enough how important it is to do this correctly. The biggest issue to consider is whether you're going to butter your bread butter side up or butter side down. Now, as you guys probably know, this is such a big issue because there was a great disagreement about this many years ago that actually led to nuclear weapons. And in order to avoid nuclear war, I advise that you always butter your bread butter side sideways. You might notice the tool that I'm using is my hand. This is because butter was around for 2,000 years before knives and other tools. Once you've buttered your bread, feel free to take a bite of that delicious morsel. You're going to taste that sweet, softened butter in your boca, mixing and mushing up with that glorious, murderous bread. Does it get any better than this? So I hope you enjoyed my tutorial on how to butter bread. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to comment if you have any questions about the process. Make sure to subscribe, and if you have anything else you would like to know, feel free to send me a comment about that as well. Thanks guys. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.